Eric, how you doing?
Hi, Dennis. Good to see you.
Hey, great to be here. Eric LeMay, grandson of Harold LeMay, the man responsible for all of this. And this is the backyard of the home place, right?
This is their backyard. I mean, as my grandmother likes to describe it, if it was going to be listed in the real estate ads, it would be your typical 5-bedroom house with a 400-car garage.
You know, and I'd be interested in that. I would.
I think all hobbyists would, actually.
Well, it's really like a theme park here, the ultimate automotive theme park. It's more than just automobiles, too.
What they've amassed over this 40 years is truly a reflection of American culture, and the cars are the centerpiece of that.
But there are some other side collections in there. Your grandmother's a doll collector, and
Yeah. I always say to call it just a car collection is a gross simplification of what's here.
it's just amazing. And these buildings have pretty much popped up over the years, eh?
They've grown with the collection. There's about 58 buildings around Tacoma and Pierce County that have cars in them.
But a good chunk of the collection's right here in the backyard.
A good chunk of it. I mean, right here we've got the Packards, we've got Ford V8s, we've got Model Ts, we've got T-Birds, Cadillacs, Lincolns. The brass era is represented. As early Daimlers are here.
Well, let's pop into one of these and start
Okay,
having a
that'll
look
be
around.
fun. Let's go.
Well, Eric, now we're inside one of the many buildings here at the home place, and I guess from my surroundings, I'd say this was sort of the Lincoln and Caddy building. Is that right?
Primarily Lincolns and Cadillacs, although we have one room off this building that's Auburn core Duesenberg.
Oh, just thrown in for good measure, right?
Yeah, for good measure, but this is primarily Cadillacs and Lincolns.
Well, and the whole place here is a series of buildings and add-ons, and as more cars came in, more
Right.
structures had to be built, eh?
I describe it as being, the collection itself is very organic, meaning it's just kind of grown through as my grandfather's tastes and his hobby has changed. Well, all the buildings to accommodate these cars have grown the
along
same
with
way.
it.
That's basically it. So.
Well, there's so many fabulous cars and spanning such a diverse array of makes and models. I mean, how did this all get started?
Well, my grandfather basically began, he actually joined the Model T Club in the early 1950s, and it was really Model Ts that got him going. And from that, being around other car hobbyists, he obviously just started to get a taste for the hobby, and he did what most people can only dream of. Obviously, he had the means and the time and the effort and the passion for these cars to invest the next 40 years in creating the world's largest car collection. I don't think he ever sat down and said, I'm going to create the world's biggest car collection, and here's where we're going to build the buildings to do it. I think it's been very much, it's just grown as he's changed and his tastes
And so as cars came in, shelters had to be
That's
constructed.
exactly
Here we
right.
have one of my personal favorites, a 39 Lincoln Zephyr. I absolutely love the lines, the swept lines of that car, V12.
This car gets a lot of comments as people come through on tours and during the day of our car show.
But you've got, so you got a 39 Lincoln Zephyr and sitting over here next to a 1918 Caddy and what I would call almost a Franklin Motor Company color scheme here. That's a very common Franklin color.
It does look like that. In fact, my grandfather likes to talk about that this car once belonged to the Firecracker King of South Carolina. That's originally
is that
the
right?
owner was. He bought it out of an auction
Well, and
on the East Coast.
Just look how tall it is. You could stand up in that thing.
It's great. There's a written description of this, and it talks about that there's a phone there that actually connects the front to the back of the car to the driver. And it points out that the phone still works.
Well, yeah, but it's the
phone
technology
has
of an
no
old-
moving
an old
parts to
hearing
it,
aid.
so-
Right? Well, some of the great colors of the eras, these mint greens and everything. But this is kind of one that sticks out. Again, sea of Caddy and Lincoln here. This is a 1929 White Prince of Windsor. Sounds pretty stately.
Yeah, but really when you get down to it, it's an American-made Moon. Moon Motor Company out of St. Louis produced the White Prince of Windsor Roadster. And the reason was there was a bias in this country against anything that was American-made, that the British and Europeans have all
much better. Yeah.
all the quality. Well, Moon decided to take advantage of this, and so they named it the White Prince of Windsor Roadster.
That's as British as you can get, I think.
That's right. They even put the Windsor coat of arms
Right
on the
here.
front of the car.
Well, how did that play back in Buckingham Palace?
Not very well. There was a telegram to the U.S. Embassy that we're not endorsing an American car.
So this was kind of a last gasp for Moon, and it didn't really
Yeah,
work.
Moon really didn't. And it's really a shame too, because they have this Lycoming 8-cylinder engine in it. It's really a beautiful,
Oh, it's a stunning car.
well-made car.
Gorgeous car.
It's just by 1929, any manufacturer like that was pretty much doomed. If
Yeah.
they weren't solid on their feet by the time the stock
It was
market
over.
crashed, it was over.
31 Caddy. You got some 60s Caddies here. we probably ought to get around to some of the other buildings.
Probably, 'cause I could stop and we could do a whole show on just about any one of them.
Like this is sort of the tribute to Auburn Cord Duesenberg here. I mean, with the exception of the V16 Caddy, we've got the ACD stuff, and I love this L29. Truly a beautiful car.
First front-wheel drive production car in America, and nobody trusted it at first.
Boy, how things change.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, the Cord 810.
And then the Doozy, the most beautiful car of all times, and you know, backed up by a couple Auburns, which are not shabby either.
No, not at all. That's J217. It's a 1930 Duesenberg with a Murphy body.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful cars, and they truly did change how you viewed a luxury car.
Oh, that's for sure. Nothing compared to Duesenberg in the 30s.
Eric, there's everything here. Old adding machines, typewriters, key fobs, literature, glassware.
Glassware, artwork, banks.
Rolls-Royce pops up.
Yeah, you never know when a Rolls-Royce is going to pop up in one of these rooms.
Well, and some of these are fabulously restored cars like this, but this is an original 1926 unrestored Piercero.
Yes, it is, and there's many cars in the collection that are very fine originals. He actually only restores 1 or 2 cars a year himself.
So even the paint on this, even the pinstriping is original.
Oh, very much, yeah.
My goodness. And models and old firearms and uniforms and gas pumps and toys and
tools. There's many types of tools. I mean, many of the manufacturers had their own tools, specific tools for their cars, so he's collected much of that.
Oh, now this is cool.
Yeah.
Now, how do you even get these cars up here?
Well, actually, if you look at the unpainted section over there, that's a door and a forklift takes them up.
I have this vision of a Duesenberg teetering on a forklift.
You can erase that vision because the Duesenberg always has 4 wheels on the ground, no matter what.
That's
wise.
Oh, now this would be the brass room then.
This is the brass room. It actually really starts a little before the brass era with the 1903 curved dash olds, but then moves right through some really nice examples of the early brass.
Fabulous.
I've never even seen that radiator there before. I honestly have probably been through here 5,000 times and seen something new every time I've come through.
And here are the dolls.
The doll collection.
Wow.
My grandmother's doll collection can sit very proudly next to anything my grandfather has ever collected.
Well, this is really Ford heaven, isn't it? And then you kind of come ascending order up.
The neat thing is my grandfather didn't just save the Fords. They're generally deluxe convertibles. I mean, they're probably the most unique and interesting of any of the Fords.
Well, this one, this 35 four-door convertible. Oh, I mean, that's got to be a crowd pleaser at a show.
Oh, it is, definitely. People love seeing that car in parades. And that's a design anybody could afford back then.
Yeah, that's it. That was truly the beauty of it.
It's a building.
It's a building?
Yeah.
Well, you need more buildings, I can tell.
Right. It's an expandable building.
Oh,
I don't know how it works, but it's Army, and I'm trying to build an Army thing. So.
Oh, that's cool. Harold, I'm Dennis Gage. This is an absolute honor to meet you.
LeMay, Dennis Gage.
Hi, Dennis. Sorry. I'd recognize you anyplace.
Is it the hat?
Yes.
Well, I've had the best day of my life so far.
Oh, well, I'm glad of that.
It's been fabulous.
So you had a doozy of a load, and she was right.
Yeah, well, what I did, I put an ecology block on this side to kind of balance because that's so narrow.
It looked like
Oh,
it
yeah.
would tip over. You turned it.
No, it's
Wow.
it's fast and fine.
Well, let's head on in. Harold, I got to tell you, you are my hero. You've done what I think every car enthusiast would love to do, and that's just follow your dream and bring together all these different cars.
Oh, thank you.
Well, and the thing that amazes me is I don't see any bias here. I don't see a bias toward any particular era or mark or anything.
Well, I didn't want to offend people when I came. was one of our special cars. Each year we have a feature car and we put on a T-shirt. And in
is this year's
this particular
T-shirt car?
year, why 39, we had 3 39s, a 39 Pontiac convertible, a 39 Buick convertible, and a Ute, a 39 Chevrolet Ute, which was made in
It's Australian, right? Yeah.
by the Holden Body Company. And
But on a car chassis.
but on a car chassis. So what in essence it was a El Camino 20 years before the El Camino come out, which was 59.
So you've been collecting, Harold, for 4 years.
Yes. I started when I was 9.
Okay. and you've just, is it out of the love of the car?
Yeah, I like cars. I really do. It bothers me when people paw them or scratch them. I had a wrecking yard, still have a license, but I could never stand to smash them up.
Oh, no, they're too beautiful. And do you think you'll keep doing this? You're just going to keep bringing them together, is that right?
I like the cars. I like the people I meet. I've met and made many, many friends. I can say that I can't think of anybody that I bought a car from that I couldn't go back and talk to them, meet them, or something, because it's always been a pleasure. At least from my side, it's always been a pleasure.
Well, and you're still doing this yourself. I mean, you go out and get these cars.
Oh, yes. And part of the pleasure is meeting the people,
Oh,
bringing the car
absolutely.
in and wrestling the deal.
Well, and it's all part, everybody's part of this one big family of car lovers.
This was in a garage, if you'd call it that, like a one-car garage in Pennsylvania, and the roof was gone, the windows were out, of the building, and we bought it and brought it here and restored it, and look at the beautiful automobile it is today.
That is absolutely gorgeous, and right next to it is an estate wagon.
Yeah, this came out of Idaho.
Very well preserved. Now, you just mentioned having restored this, and you've got this great mix of cars that are beautifully restored to unrestored originals.
That's right.
And those are great patterns, because so much of this is lost with people restoring them beyond their original condition.
Yes.
This is a museum at so many levels.
There's another one we've restored, the Buick convertible.
A 58, very nice car.
Yeah.
Now that would have had a V8 in it by then.
Yes. Yeah, it's a V8. You can see by the insignia.
That's a Riviera wagon, isn't it?
That's what they call a Caballero,
Oh, okay.
because if you notice, it's a hardtop,
Yeah,
a hardtop station wagon. So
very
it's a
unique.
Caballero.
57.
Stuck in a corner there is a very, very beautiful 1954 Roadster convertible.
It gleams.
Beautiful automobile.
Well, you've done an awful lot just for the car hobby with bringing these things together. I certainly don't know anyone else who has come even close to what you've done here. And how did you get started?
Well, I've always had a love for cars, and even in high school, which was a few years back,
Just a few.
I rebuilt at a very early age an old Model T. And I actually took it to the high school a couple of times. I had a toy train transformer because the mag wasn't strong enough to start it. So the toy train transformer would plug into the school's outlet, and I got it started, and I'd run on the mag home.
So you'd have to be close to power to start it up, though. I mean, what if you're out in the cornfield?
Well, if that was the case, you either got to pull it or you got to have a battery. The mag just wouldn't start it, but it would run it fine.
Well, and I also got to ask. I mean, I'm up to a few cars now myself, but it pales by comparison to your collection. But I don't think I could get away with too many more, and my wife knowing about them anyway. How did you get away with pulling all these together? And
Don't tell her.
she hasn't noticed. Well, I understand she's got a bit of a propensity for collection too.
Yes.
It must run in the family a bit.
Yeah, she's trying to catch me, I think, because I think she's 18 or $2,000.
So we got a little competition going.
Competition. But it's wonderful because if she's looking for dolls and I'm looking for cars, we can go to the same place. The same place don't have them, but like if you go to Hershey, I'm
Yeah.
out there plowing in the mud, and she's in a nice building. If I was in a nice building, it hurt my feet.
Yeah, well, you gotta have that
Because
soft
I can
mud.
walk in that mud.
You're still getting a car or two a week
Yeah.
as you run across them and going out and picking them up yourself.
I tried to get Eric to buy a little buggy from, where was that from?
Sanford and Sons, the antique store.
Yeah, but from back east. It was
Oh, I didn't hear.
Rhode Island or someplace
Yeah.
it was from. It was little horse cart, wicker. I just hadn't seen one before, but I ended up buying it.
Something you haven't seen. I can't imagine. There's still things out there that you haven't seen.
Yes, there are.
Now, you open this collection up to the public one day a year.
To the general public one day a year. We have a lot of different things, schools, clubs, benefits where if they're trying to get a school some help or something, they'll sell a tour and then we'll give the tour. And we've done a lot of that.
Well, that is wonderful. And there's even plans, certainly for the LeMay Collection Museum, to bring this together and be, truly a national automobile museum.
Yes.
I think that would be wonderful.
What happened to Bill Hara when he passed away and Holiday Inns took it over is a shame, because that collection, the finest in the world, got scattered to the four corners of the world. I have some of them, but that was a great collection, and it just got scattered. And I would hope that
The same wouldn't
collection
happen
would
here.
not happen.
Well, did that influence your collecting, as a matter of fact? I mean, did you kind of see that happen and say, this can't happen again?
Well, that certainly made me think about how could you preserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, one way to preserve it is to have a museum and have it. A museum, contrary to a lot of people's belief, has to be self-sufficient. They give you so much time to get it going. Eric can tell you much better than I can, but there is limitations on it. It's not all roses, and it's not like people think. They have to work at it. It has to be self-sustaining after a period of time, which is right, because if it isn't, somebody's liable to get a hold of it and just try to get rid of it.
That's right. Well, and this is, I have to say, it's really one of the most historically complete collections I've ever seen. I mean, it really is spanning such a long period of time and so diverse in what you've collected. It's really like it's trying to say something about the development of the automobile in total, and a bit how it influenced the development of America.
I appreciate those words, because I've always tried to kind of not just stick to Fords or Chevrolets or Cadillacs or Duesenberg or Accords or something, but to have what may appeal to another party or another person or another age.
Yeah, I've really been able to see the sense of even society's progression. I can't imagine a more extensive collection, or having more fun. I mean, you seem to be having a lot of fun doing this.
Well, I do. Like I said, I like the people and I enjoy it. I'll tell you what, you see a smile on my face every time I'm bringing one in.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I really can.
Yeah.
What's your favorite car? My answer's always been, well, it's one with four wheels and an internal combustion engine. And that usually is a safe one.
But it isn't safe for me because I have some three-wheelers.
Oh, well, okay.
My answer is that I have 17 grandchildren and did have 8 children and now have some great-grandchildren, and they're all my favorites. And I feel the same way about the
cars?
automobiles.
Ooh, that's good. And I even saw some King midgets out there. You got you got 2 or 3 of them out there.
Right. If you notice, one of them's kind of customized, sported.
A custom King midget. Now,
Yeah,
that's a first.
Yeah, I wanted a King midget years ago because they were in the
Popular Mechanics.
Popular Mechanics. Yeah. I think they first came out as a kit car.
They were $500.
And I thought, oh, gee, I'd love to have one of those.
And you built it yourself. You bought it.
Yeah.
And you built it. It was $500. It had a mechanical windshield wiper on it, or manual.
Yeah.
And so I never knew how you shifted and did the
Oh, you just get accustomed to it. Because Model T had that too.
Uh-huh.
And some of them had a swipe on the inside and the outside. Now, why the inside, I don't know, because most of them were open, so they didn't fog up as much.
So, Harold, how many cars do you have?
Oh, I don't know. Eric might know. How many cars on the computer, Eric?
About 2,470.
2,470. Well,
What have you bought since then?
Figure out that some of those are rusted away. There's probably 2,300.
Just the other things that I've seen today, your other collections, your models and your uniforms and your petrobilia, the pump signs and
Right.
and just the station signs and stuff. It was like the ultimate amusement park for me. It was just a blast. I want to be you when I grow up. Well, I got to tell you guys, this has been the most amazing day for me. I can hardly even describe it. Now, Eric, your grandfather was talking about plans for an actual museum. What are the plans going forward?
Well, basically what we're saying is that this collection, we're hoping to form the basis of really the true national car museum, kind of the Air and Space Museum equivalent for cars. With the collection the way it is now, we feel that we can interpret such a broad range of protecting the car heritage and really teaching kids and adults about the automobile's role in culture down the road. To that end, we've been working with the city of Tacoma, which has been really cooperative to find a site that will make it feasible. And we're talking about a museum that could interpret about 350 cars, but also have on-site storage in a 10-level parking structure called the Tower of Horsepower.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, and that would have storage for about 1,000 cars that could be open to the public and visible, not as interpreted as in the LeMay Museum, but then also inviting other collectors to be able to have their cars that can supplement the collection come into the Tower of Horsepower.
Wow. Well, Eric,
Thanks, Dennis.
Harold, thanks for the most amazing day I've had in this role yet.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.